Mr. Clay Andrews. I think we're live now.
All
It's
right, great.
it's such a pleasure to officially meet you. Actually, we've exchanged quite a few emails, but this is the first time that we meet.
Yeah, totally. Uh, I've seen you many times on YouTube, so it's nice to actually be able to interact one-on-one with you.
That's right. You are the first coach that we are interviewing on Love Advice TV that's not part of the Love Advice family. So I'm really, really actually excited that you accepted to come on because I'm a big fan of your channel and of your work. And
Oh,
so thank you for taking the time.
well, thank you for having me on too. I'm really excited to be here too.
Okay, first things first, I think congratulations are in order because I think that I saw your little daughter on a video quite recently and she's so cute, man.
Yeah, that was yesterday. That was her first appearance on YouTube. I mean, like, when you're a parent, you have like all these things like, oh, these days, like, when is the right time to put your kid on social media and all that? And
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's okay. I'm just like, yeah, let's just have her meet the world. The audio was a little weird, but I don't know. People
she's
don't seem to
gorgeous. She's so happy too. It really warmed my heart.
Yeah, I certainly like her a lot, but then again, I'm kind of biased.
That's right. Well, that was a really nice moment and I really appreciated seeing that. So why don't you, I'm sure that a lot of our community already knows you, and follow what you do and your work. But why don't you tell us, the Love Advice TV community, a little bit about you and how you got into this space and why
Yeah,
are you so passionate about helping people with their relationships?
yeah, totally. So I've been doing this kind of relationship advice stuff for probably about almost 10 years at this point, which is like hundreds of years in internet time. Um,
Yeah,
and I got started really because relationships didn't come naturally to me personally. My parents divorced when I was pretty young, so I never had anyone to really model what a great relationship looked like. So I had to learn a lot of this stuff myself through my own journey. And I did get some things figured out, and I started to share those on a now defunct blog way back in 2009, and people actually surprisingly read it and commented and all that stuff, and things kind of started to take off from there in terms of the whole our business, the Modern Love, which I've started together with my wife. And we've been making YouTube videos forever, even the embarrassingly old ones from back in 2011, where I'm like filming in a park in some weird red hunting jacket or something. I don't know what I was thinking back then, but once it's on the internet, you can't take it off, I guess. So what are
that's
you
right.
gonna?
That's right, man. You're hitting a sour point here too, because I don't look back at the old videos, man. I can't do it. But hey, you got to start somewhere. And one thing that you said that really resonated with me is the fact that you kind of had to learn these things on your own.
Yeah,
And what I tell my clients is that you can either learn through other people's mistakes or through your own. But one way or another, people have to make mistakes in order for us to learn and to grow.
yeah. I've
And
made a lot of mistakes, so I think I could probably teach people a lot of things.
yeah, trust me, I've been there too. I've been there too. And also, one thing that I really do love about your content and what you guys put out there is that it's real, it's genuine, it's authentic. You speak from the heart, you speak from experience, and you're not selling a pipe dream to people. And
Mm,
unfortunately, a lot of people in our industry, as you know, are just prying on people's fears and trying to make a quick buck. And
yeah,
I really respect your work, and I think that your philosophy really resonated with ours because you speak from the heart, and you're telling people, the truth of what it is and where they stand in their relationships or their breakup recoveries or whatnot. So kudos to you for that.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think if you really boil it down, there's really two different types of advice or ways that you can look at relationships and dating. One of them is that, hey, this other person that you're trying to have a relationship with, that you're trying to date, you're trying to get back together with, they're just a human being like you that is trying to figure their own life out, surprisingly just like you. And if you just relate to them on that level, that things are going to happen naturally. And then there's the other camp, which is that, men or women or the opposite sex is the enemy, and you have to, outthink them, outmaneuver them, outdo them in combat and everything. And then finally, when you knock them to their knees, they'll submit to you or something. And like the weird thing is that whichever choice you make, I mean, it's not like one is wrong and the other one's right. It just has different outcomes, right? But whichever choice you make, that's what's going to show up in your life.
Yeah.
Because if you choose the path of fear, all the people that are like, yeah, I just want to have a great relationship with a good person, they're gonna sense that in some way, and they're gonna say, there's something messed up with this person. I'm gonna go over here and find someone else. And then suddenly the only people that are left to play the game with you are the other people that have this really weird, warped, competitive sense of love and relationships.
Yeah.
So if you have the choice, why not choose the one that's easy, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that we live in a society and in a world where people are looking for quick fixes, shortcuts, easy solutions. And so a lot of people aren't willing to do the work, or they fall victim to these schemes, for lack of a better word, that are not conducive to long-term happiness and sustainable relationships. And I see that a lot with people who are trying to get their ex back. There's this sense of despair where you need to get them back now. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not possible to get them back right away. Changes need to occur. Real sustainable changes need to happen. And that's why our philosophy has always been rooted in personal transformation and identifying what went wrong and actually making some sustainable changes in your day-to-day life, and then reintroducing yourself to this person that thought they knew who you were and what you were about. And that element of surprise can be very powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you were to really just boil it down, if you want to get back together with your ex, from at least my perspective anyway, it's really about just like three simple things. Number one, you have to show them that they're not walking back into the same relationship that they walked out of in the first place. Number two, interacting with you surprisingly has to actually be an enjoyable experience.
Right.
And then number three is just you have to overcome any sort of friction that may be in the way of the two of you getting back together. Like, maybe they already told all their friends and family that they broke up with you, and that would be kind of weird. And they want to make super sure that it's going to work out before they, reintroduce you to their parents and all that. Or maybe they ended up in a rebound relationship, and like, obviously that relationship needs to end before they get back together with you, or, something like that. But it's really pretty simple. It's just show them that something's different, show them that they can actually enjoy being with you, and then just handle the little complicated, minute things in the way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that a lot of people are caught up in some negative bubble, a false sense of reality, and their feelings and their emotions get the best of them. And the most sensible, smart human beings can completely unravel and lose perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that, a big part of our job is to help people get a sense of clarity and to go back to who they truly are. At least that's how we approach it. I don't know if you can relate with that.
Yeah, totally. So first of all, like a breakup is a very emotionally charged experience in a person's life. I think I read some sort of study somewhere that it like ranks right up there with like the death of a parent or something like that. So it's a really big thing. And when you are in these really highly charged emotional states, what it tends to do to your mind is that it tends to accentuate, black and white thinking, either or, polarity, extremes, and all of that stuff. And in my experience with helping people, what happens is, as you're trying to reconnect with your ex, or interact with your ex, or talk to your ex, or even text with your ex, there are going to be these things that come up where there's an unknown thing that happens. Like you text them, they don't text you back. Why didn't they text you back? And your mind is going to rush in and fill in that unknown with something, because that's what your mind does. It tries to answer questions. Why didn't they text me back? It's going to come up with some sort of answer. And when you're in this highly charged emotional state, oftentimes it fills in the unknown with your own insecurities, your own fears, your own anxieties, and it says, well, they aren't texting me back because they have completely forgotten about me. They never cared about me. They're in a relationship with somebody new. I was meaningless to them, or whatever it might be. And a lot of what I do is to really help people look at these beliefs and say, okay, is it really true that they forgot about you? Maybe it is, but is it realistic to think that? No. I mean, the two of you are together for, in some hypothetical case, 2 years. So obviously we're not just going to hang out in a relationship with somebody that we don't care about for 2 years. Obviously we care about them, otherwise we wouldn't be in that relationship. Mm-hmm. And so once you start to actually look at these automatic, unconscious, let's just say less than resourceful beliefs, you can start to untangle them a little bit. And, you know, it's not to say that these negative beliefs aren't true, that, you know, your ex isn't in a rebound relationship and that's not why they're contacting you, but why are we jumping to the worst case scenario thinking? Why are we going into, you know, these catastrophe predictions and assuming the worst? And what's even worse is when you actually start to act on these without any like real evidence. You know, like, why did my ex text me back? Oh, it's because they're ignoring me because they hate me. Let me send them a snarky message. And then, you know, a couple days later, you find out they didn't text you back, not because they hate you, but because they were with their brother at the hospital who got in a car accident or something. And now you have a whole lot more damage to overcome, right?
Yeah. Amazing. Talk to me about your active no contact. This is something that I feel it's like a natural transition here, because okay. I'm a big fan, and I wanted you to introduce this concept to the Love Advice TV community.
Cool, yeah. So in the world of getting back together with your ex, if you do even like 30 seconds of research, you'll probably hear about no contact. And there are a lot of different beliefs and ideas about no contact. And if you like really look at it, there's not just like one singular no contact rule. There's like all kinds, depending on your mindset, your philosophy, your belief, your worldview, and all that. There's like the no contact that's supposed to make your ex miss you so that they come crawling back to you over broken shards of glass or whatever. There's the no contact that's supposed to help you heal so that you're, you know, not an emotional wreck when you're contacting them. There's the no contact that's supposed to make them think that you're dating somebody else, so they become jealous and think that they're missing out, and then they desperately reach out to you, or there's like all these different kinds of no contact. And what's troubling to me is that some of them, you know, obviously border on like mind games and stuff like that. But what makes most of these not very effective is that people will just cut contact as if it's some sort of magical thing, and then they'll just white knuckle it through the, I don't know, 30 days or however long it is. And then they'll just get back in touch with their ex, and their ex just sees the exact same person that they broke up with, right? Nothing fundamentally has changed. Yes. And what I encourage people to do when they go into no contact is to make it an active part of really working on themselves to really improve their interpersonal skills, improve their ability to connect on an emotional level, so that when they do get back in contact with their ex sees not the person that they broke up with, but the person that maybe they fell in love with, or the person that they could fall in love with again. Somebody who they can see a future with, somebody that they can actually enjoy interacting with and being with. It's not about a mind game. It's about really just changing how you're bringing yourself to the interaction so that there's a completely new dynamic between you and your ex.
I love it. I love it. One of my fundamental beliefs is that a breakup is an opportunity. And most people, unfortunately, aren't able to see that because of the pain and the trauma that they're going through. But it has been an opportunity for me. And I realized that it completely changed my life when my wife and I, back in the day, broke up. And it's, you know, I was doing an active no contact. I did not know it at the time, but you know, I turned it into an opportunity to better myself. And I believe that unless you are able to grow and to learn and to transform yourself, it is not realistic to expect to get an X back. You know, just letting time pass on its own is not gonna do it. I don't care if, you know, it's a man trying to get back with a woman trying to get back with a man, age difference, culture, society, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you have to offer something new. And I fundamentally agree with that. And you know, I'm so happy that you were able to share this with us. What is it like working with your wife, by the way?
It's actually really cool. Like, I can understand why a lot of people have a hard time working with their spouse or their partner. It's never really been like a super difficult thing for us. I mean, maybe like in the initial times when I was working out of the house and she was working out of the house, and we sometimes had like this hard time setting this boundary of like, okay, we stopped working at this time and now we're just off the clock and we're relaxing. But I mean, now that I have a baby, I obviously can't record at home when she might start crying unpredictably or whatever. So I've started renting an office, and I think that's actually helped us a lot to set some good boundaries between work and not being at work. And you know, she's starting to come back into work after taking some time off for maternity leave. She's working a couple days a week now when we have the nanny come over. But overall, it's been a really great experience to work with her. Just to be able to talk with her, just to be able to bounce ideas off of each other, just to be able to even work one-on-one. I mean, I know that I'm probably the only person that you guys see on the YouTube channel, because I guess I just drew the short straw that day when we're like, okay, which one of us is going to be in front of the camera? But she plays an equally important role in our business as well too.
Amazing. I talk about unity and having a common life project, being able to you know, really create something that is bigger than yourselves. And obviously you have a daughter, but building this business together and being on this journey of service is, you know, much respect for that. And I'm happy that you guys are making it work and being able to bring the best out of each other. What is the most challenging aspect of the job for you? I know that very often people, friends, family, clients ask me, how do I cope and deal with speaking with two people all day that are in a very, you know, desperate state of mind, or that are going through a separation, which can, in, you know, a lot of cases, it's the most difficult period of someone's life. And you were constantly talking with these clients. How is that the most difficult aspect of the job for you, or how do you cope with that?
For me, I'd say the most difficult part is, so like, again, I've been doing this for years and years, and what's difficult for me is just seeing the same questions and the same situations over and over and over again. And obviously they're coming from different people, but if I let it get to me, if I let that kind of take over me, it can make me feel as if I'm not making a difference, or as if I'm not really impacting people's lives. But if I can just stay focused on the individual person and maybe what they're going through in that moment, it helps me to kind of rebalance, so that I'm not just kind of getting jaded by like, oh, hey, what do I text? 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 Over and over and over again. And I can easily get lost in that, but I just have to stay focused on this person that maybe just found me yesterday, that maybe hasn't, I mean, I don't expect anybody to watch all like 500 videos on my YouTube channel, but you know, it can be easy to let that get to you. But if you just stay focused on the individual, that's what's really helped me.
Yeah, I agree. I've been doing this for a very long time too. And, you know, from day one, I did not let people's pain and anxiety get to me. It's as if I was wired to be able to compartmentalize and deal with that. And I actually love it. I actually absolutely love what we do, because I love helping people, and I love seeing the process of personal growth and personal transformation. So that's never been an issue for me. And for me, the hardest part of the job, quite honestly, is when I see someone desperate to go back into a toxic relationship. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that you've dealt with people who are unable to come to terms with the fact that sometimes they have to let it go, or that it's not in their best interest to pursue a certain relationship because they're ultimately not going to be happy. And I tell clients all the time, I don't do this to help you get your ex back. I do this to help you be fulfilled in your relationship. And when I see someone who won't be happy, with their ex, and they are still fighting to go back to a toxic relationship, I find that very hard at times.
That's really hard too, to just know that somebody could open themselves up to love themselves more, to value themselves more, to see that they deserve better. They deserve to be loved for who they are, and they don't have to like contort themselves into something else or settle for less or do any of these weird things that sometimes people feel they have to do in order to be with someone else.
That's
That's
right. People have so much potential, and they keep lowering the standards to try to make an ex fit. That's
yeah.
what I see, and that's what frustrates me. But to go back to your experience, what is the most difficult, challenging aspect of the ex-back process for your clients? What do people struggle with the most from your experience, and what is the potential solution for that problem?
Yeah. So it's kind of what we touched on earlier, where it's filling
One
in
second.
these.
1 second. I'm sorry. I think my daughter is coming in. So 1 second.
Sure, go ahead.
False alert. False alert.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, it's where a lot of people fill in these blanks in their experience, like we talked about earlier, with their own worst case scenario thoughts and beliefs and fears and insecurities. And if you can start to quiet that down, I've noticed that these people can actually start to be more realistic. We have this idea that being realistic is being as negative as possible about things, right? Like, oh, I'm just being realistic. My ex obviously never loved me. They are with somebody else. They're dating a celebrity now. They're perfectly happy. They're living some great, amazing life. But that's not realistic. That's not realistic at all. That's just being as pessimistic as humanly possible.
Right.
What and if you can get somebody to see that and actually start to balance out their thinking so that they're actually are being realistic, there's like two ends of a spectrum. There's like your ex hates you and they never want to talk to you again, and they have moved on completely from you, and all that negative stuff that I'm sure I don't need to elaborate on for your audience. And then there's obviously the extreme positive side, which is probably not particularly realistic either, which is that your ex is desperately in love with you. They're waiting on pins and needles for you to finally call them and all of that. But somewhere in the middle is the actual truth, which in my experience is that most people's exes are just confused. They had a relationship with you that wasn't working for one reason or another, and they felt the only thing that they could do was to leave that relationship. And they're still confused. They're wondering, did I make the right choice? I still care for this person, obviously, which is why sometimes I, waffle back and forth or something. But there were issues with the relationship, and I don't know what the future holds for us. I don't know if we're going to get back together. I don't know if we're going to stay in touch. And if you can just let it be okay that your ex is a person just like you are, who's confused and trying to figure out their own life, and they're not this person who's trying to take advantage of you, or who's trying to set you up to fail, or who's trying to use you or string you along or something. And sure, there's like a very small minority of people out there who are not very nice, but most of the people out there, they're just like you and me. They're just trying to figure all this out on their own. They're just trying to figure out how you fit into their life. They're just trying to find their own little slice of happiness in this journey through life.
Well said. Well said. can you share a few stories of clients that you're currently working with or that I've worked with recently that fundamentally were able to start from this place of desperation and ultimately get back with their ex? Because
Yeah.
my clients often tell me during coaching sessions, you guys need to share more success stories. And I don't like to toot my own horn. And I often find that it's not my stories to share, but we're working on doing a better job of that. But I wanted
Yeah.
to know if you could share a few stories of clients that have perhaps touched your heart, or stories that you think can inspire others that are really going through hard times at the moment.
Yeah, totally. So we recently worked with this woman who her ex broke up with her and then proceeded to move across the country to San Francisco. She was living in New Jersey. And, you had like the whole long distance thing in there, which everybody always, I mean, granted, it is more complicated, but it's not like a showstopper by any means. And then he ended up in a rebound relationship with somebody new, and he was like trying to set up his startup in San Francisco or something like that. And through actually doing what we talked about, questioning that voice in your head that assumes the worst, and actually connecting with him on an emotional level, showing that she supported him in his dream and all that, they were able to form an emotional connection. And it became clear that his rebound was actually not really supportive of his startup company. And just through actually making the interactions feel good, through actually connecting, through actually bonding, through actually turning off the voice in your head that says that you're going to fail, she was able to rebuild that connection and have that love start to come back in. And whenever you tell stories like this, people say, oh well, she was a woman, obviously it's easier for women. And then I'm like, okay, well, we have this other guy that we worked with named Steven, and he was a man, obviously, and he was in a similar situation. He was in a long distance relationship. His ex lived in a different country with a different language and a different culture, so there was all kinds of barriers between them. And they broke up because of some weird thing that he posted on Facebook that made him seem insecure and all that. And then she ended up getting into a rebound relationship with somebody that Steven considered to be more attractive than he was. And, like he had every single imaginable, yeah, but situation going against him. Yeah, but I'm too old. Yeah, but it's a different country. Yeah, but she's in a new relationship with somebody else. Yeah, but it's a long distance relationship. Yeah, but all this stuff. And what I really loved about working with him was that he didn't let any of that stop him. He didn't let any of that hold him back. And because of that, he was actually able to show her that he really did care for her. And what's really cool is, like, I think it was about a year or so later, he reached out to us and was like, hey, by the way, we're getting married now. And he sent us some photos from his wedding and all that. And like, that's really the humbling thing about all this work is, you can get lost in like the day-to-day stuff, the phone calls and the people's individual stories. But when you get those follow-up messages that come like a year or two later, it's like, oh yeah, we're getting married, or oh yeah, we're having a baby together. It's like, oh my goodness. Wow. Like, I can't take credit for that because obviously they did the work, but to think that I played some kind of like small role in guiding them to have this relationship that's causing like actual new humans to be in the world is incredibly humbling. It's incredibly humbling. We just have like so many success stories. I'm having a hard time like trying to.
No, man, this is already very powerful stuff. And I agree. I think that seeing people be happy and playing a small part on their journey is everything. And that's why I get up in the morning. That's why I love what we do. That's why I can't get enough, really.
Yeah.
And, I'm really excited that there are people like you who are also fighting the good fight and approaching this the right way, honestly. Because that's what it's all about. It's about being of service and teaching these skills that you've mastered over a decade and helping people who are trying to be in healthy relationships, ultimately. Tell us about your X Solution program.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, When
Yeah.
did you release it? And, why are you pumped and excited about it?
Okay. So yeah, we put out the first version of it in 2011. Um, we we looked at the other books, mostly books at the time, that were out on the market back then, and I was just like really disappointed in what I saw. I would see, like, without naming any names, I would see, like, okay, here's a 50-page ebook, and it says, in order to get your ex back, you need to do things like eat healthy. And then it would go on for like a couple pages about, here's an example of protein, here's an example of vegetables. And, sure, people should eat healthy, but that's not the primary concern when it comes to saving a relationship, right? There are things that are more important, like having an emotional connection, and things that are maybe less important, like knowing the difference between a starch and fiber, right? um, and so that's when I decided that, okay, I need to actually make something that I can feel proud of, something that I think could actually help people. And like back then, I was still learning all this. I'm still learning all of the business side of this stuff as we speak. But it was kind of uncomfortable for me to put myself out there and say, okay, this is what I think people should do if they want to save their relationship. But yeah, it's really just built around a lot of the stuff that we've touched on. It's built around active no contact. It's built around increasing the emotional connection that you have with your ex through what we call, advanced relational skills. These are basically just your ability to tune into the moment as opposed to getting lost in the stories that you tell yourself. It's about seeing your ex as a human being, connecting with them on an emotional level, as opposed to, putting them up on a pedestal or all the other things that people do. It's about sharing who you really are, sharing how you really feel, so that you can actually have the opportunity to connect. It's not about putting on a fake mask of confidence or putting on some sort of mind game where you're pretending to be hard to get or something about that. It's about actually being more yourself so that you can have a real, genuine relationship with your ex. Because I mean, if you're going to work out, it has to be with you being who you are. If you have to be somebody else other than who you are in order to have that relationship work, then that's not a great relationship, in my opinion. I mean, obviously you're all free to do whatever you want, but that's not something that I would want for you. It's also based around really showing your ex that they're not walking back into the same relationship that they walked out of. And, there's some like more detailed stuff like, hey, here's how you might want to think about texting them when you get back in contact with them. Here's how you might think about wanting to date them. Here's like their emotional experience they're going through. That's one thing that people really like, is we have these 5 stages that your ex goes through emotionally on the process of getting back together with you. People really like this. There's like the extreme far stage, which we call the wall of reactance, which is where they're like totally a no to even talking to you. You text them, they won't text you back, or they text you back something really nasty that probably shouldn't be said on a video, and all the way through to the last stage where they're like really into you. The two of you are pretty much back together. You just have to have that conversation. There's like an entire spectrum of emotion, and people really seem to like that. I think it gives them an idea about where their ex is at in terms of their emotional experience, and it kind of gives them a little preview about what their ex might be feeling or experiencing in the near future. But yeah, that's ESP. That's the X Solution Program. We've been offering that for, well, since 2011. What is that math-wise? Like almost 8 years now. People love it. People like it. People sign up for it pretty much every day.
Awesome. This is cool stuff, and I encourage everyone to check that out because, man, I love your philosophy. I love your authentic approach to helping people here, and this is cool stuff, man. We actually need to get you out to Miami to do this in person. You need to take a little holiday with your little one and come here and for us.
Man, that would be really cool. Like we're just coming out of winter here in Seattle, where it's just, like 9 months of rain and gray and cold. And I'm like, I would love to get some sunshine. I'd love to feel a temperature higher than 50 degrees. I'm totally down for it.
The invitation has been extended, my friend. It's whenever you want.
Okay, great. You're
So,
gonna regret putting that out there.
no, man, it is there. Come anytime. And what are you guys working on? What's next for you guys?
Yeah, so for me, recently, what I've been working on is trying to address things at a deeper level. Because you get a lot of questions about, like, what do I text them if they do this? What do I say if they say that? What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? And sure, you can give people advice about what they might do in those sort of situations. But what I really want is for people to get to the point where they don't need me, where they can look within themselves and know what the right thing to do is because they're present in the moment, because they can actually connect with their ex. They actually have the ability to see the world from their ex's point of view and say, oh, she's feeling a little anxious. What is it that I could say to help soothe that anxiety a little bit so that she knows that I actually care about her, that I actually want to commit to her, whatever it might be. And so I'm trying to talk to people more about some of these deeper issues. And we actually have a course for that too called the Compatibility Code, which I haven't really talked about too much, but it really deals with more of like that mindset stuff, like why do we rush in to fill in those unknowns with the worst case scenario? And how can we start to tune that inner critic down a little bit so that we don't assume the worst. I've also started to do daily live streams on YouTube, at least during the weekdays. I take the weekends off, and that's been a whole lot of fun. Just being able to talk to people in more of a casual, one-on-one sort of way. Oftentimes you see the same people show up day after day, and it's like, oh, hey, what's going on, man? I haven't seen you yesterday. What's new today? And it just feels better for me because, when you do like the classic YouTube thing, you have to record a video and then it takes like a couple days to edit it and then you have to upload it. And then by then you're like not in the same mood that you were when you recorded it. And so you feel kind of weird, like talking to people and answering the comments and stuff. But the live stream thing, it feels a whole lot more natural to me, and I'm liking that a whole lot more.
Keep at it, man. It's amazing. You're doing great work, and it takes dedication to do that. I know that it's not easy to do videos day in and day out, and so more power to you. Keep at it.
Thank you.
This has been great. It's a first. Hopefully, there will be many, many, many more of these, and I look forward to collaborating with you and Mika as well down the road. And yeah, man, keep doing what you do. You guys are changing the world over there.
Yeah, thank you so much. And to your viewers out there, if you want to leave any comments down below in the comment section for this video, I'll do my best to keep an eye on it, and I'll reply to any questions that you may have. At least for the first week or so. I'll keep an eye on this for like years to come, but I'll do my best.
Awesome.
So, share anything that you want.
Thank you. You're the man. Please extend my warmest greetings to Mika and to your daughter as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll be in touch very soon.
All right. I'll see you in Miami.
Yes, that's what I like to hear. Take good care.
All right, take care.
All right.